nominate Honorable Tajuddin Abbas.
I so second.
I rise to humbly accept the nomination.
Is hereby declared the winner and returned elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The 2024 Appropriation Act amended bill seeks to, among others, make available additional funds for renewed hope.
House passes 35 trillion naira budget for 2024 fiscal year.
To eliminate discrimination against women.
And Speaker Abbas Tajuddin assures stakeholders of open partnership on gender equality. Welcome to this week's edition of House Cttee, the educative program that highlights legislations and the processes in the Green Chamber of the National Assembly, sitting in Abuja. I am Dehelia Mamza, your guide on the program. Lawmakers have adjourned plenary for their annual recess. This was on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. And on that day, the House took care of pending legislations before it, one of which was the consideration and passage of the 2024 Supplementary Appropriation Act, as well as amendments to the 2023 Finance Act. Aside that, the House Committee on Commerce, in a joint session with other committees of the House, held a one-day investigative hearing about the unpaid 10% freight levies due to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, from the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. For all these stories, let's meet again after this short break. Please stay with us.
Hi, about that. The House will pay priority attention to participatory budgeting process and delivery, law reform, electoral reform, women's participation and inclusion in governance, among others.
Thanks for staying tuned. We'll begin reports on the program with details of plenary proceedings for Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. The report is compiled and presented from the studios.
Almighty God, creator and ruler of heaven.
The House on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024 received a letter from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu transmitting two bills for consideration and passage by the House. The bills are Nigeria Police Act Amendment Bill 2024, as well as the National Minimum Wage Bill 2024.
This bill is to prescribe a national minimum wage and provide a legal framework for seamless review of the national minimum wage and for other purposes connected therewith.
Giving the bill's accelerated hearing, the House proceeded to debate the minimum wage bill. The long title of the bill is A Bill for an Act to Amend the National Minimum Wage Act No. 8 of 2019 to increase the national minimum wage and reduce the time for periodic review of the national minimum wage from 5 to 3 years and for related matters. An executive bill, it stood in the name of the House leader, Professor Julius Ihonvere.
We have had debates, we've had a big strike, we've had threatened strikes, and we've had agreements and disagreements over the national minimum wage. And we are happy that at the end of the day, the federal government and other stakeholders, particularly the NLC and the TUC, reached some understanding about the national minimum wage, moving it from 30,000 to 70.
We all accept the need for the country, our organized labor, to have a minimum wage. So we don't need to subject it to any debate. We can just get a seconder and move on.
The bill skilled second reading and was referred to the Committee of the Whole for further scrutiny.
The ayes have it.
The House also considered the second bill titled A Bill for an Act to Amend the Nigeria Police Act 2020 to enable a person appointed to the Office of Inspector General of Police to remain in office until the end term stipulated in the letter of appointment and for related matters.
To amend the Nigeria Police Act 2020 to enable a person appointed to the Office of Inspector General of Police remain in office until the end of the term stipulated in the letter of appointment and for related matters, HB 1678, be read a second time. I so move.
The bill was voted on and approved and also referred to the Committee of the Whole.
That's it.
And to expedite action, the two bills were considered on the same day at the Committee of the Whole, chaired by the Deputy Speaker, read the third time and passed.
In Committee of the Whole, the two bills earlier proposed, one on the minimum wage and the other on the tenure of the Inspector General of Police. I so move.
The House same Tuesday also passed a bill seeking to increase the 2024 appropriation bill from 28.7 trillion naira to 35.05 trillion naira, as well as a bill seeking to amend the Finance Act 2023. Both bills were passed after their consideration by the Committee of Supply, chaired by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin.
I to move that the House do resort to Committee of Supply in order to consider the money bills. I so move.
A breakdown of the proposed 35.05 trillion naira showed that 1.74 trillion naira is for statutory transfers, 8.27 trillion naira is for debt services, 11.26 trillion naira is for recurrent expenditure, while 13.7 trillion naira is for contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2024. Chairman of the House Committee on Appropriations, Representative Abubakar Kabiru Bichi, gave a synopsis of the bill.
The 2024 Appropriation Act amended bill seeks to, among others, make available additional funds for renewed hope infrastructure development projects to be undertaken across the country and to meet other recurrent expenditure requirements, such as the minimum wage increase necessary for effective governance of the Federation.
After consideration, the House voted and approved clauses 1 to 13 of the bill. Similarly, the House, still in the Committee of Supply, considered the report of the Committee on Finance on a bill for an act to amend the Finance Act 2023 to impose windfall levies on banks and provide for the administration of the levies and for related matters. Chairman, House Committee on Finance, Representative James Abiodun Faliki, gave the synopsis of the report.
The government supported in a bid to control the exchange rates, supported some banks, 5 banks to be precise, with funding so as to be able to mitigate the exchange rate. However, the exchange rates, of course, fluctuated, and the banks made some gains, which the CBN, of course, withheld because the gains were not made in the normal business, in the normal day-to-day business of their entities. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the Joint Committee of the Senate and the House resolved that rather than sharing the profit at 50-50, it should be 70 to government and 30% to the bank, to serve as their cost of collection.
Again, the lawmakers voted and approved clauses 1 to 3. The House then reverted to plenary and adopted the report of the Committee of Supply. To expedite action, the bills were read the third time and passed.
I rise to move for the third reading of the bills represented and considered and passed by the House.
Bills read for the third time and passed.
On motions that day, the House considered several matters of urgent public importance, one of which was moved by Representative Iyawe Esosa on the need to address the problems in the petroleum sector.
Allegations have been made by NMDPRA were given that NEPC were giving licenses to some traders who regularly import high sulfur content diesel into Nigeria, and the use of such products poses grave health risk to financial loss to Nigerians. The House is also concerned that the unguarded statement by the chief executive of this agency, which has since been disapproved, sparks an outrage from Nigerians who tagged his on Demney and local refineries as insistence on the continued importation of fuel, an act of economic sabotage, as the imported products have been shown to contain high levels of dangerous compounds.
In his prayers, Representative Iyawe called on the relevant committees of the House on Petroleum Resources to ensure they engage the relevant government agencies with a view to ending all abnormalities in the sector. The motion was voted on, adopted as amended, and referred to the House Committee on Petroleum Resources Midstream and Downstream.
There is a bit.
Still on motions, Representative Rodney Ebikebina also moved a motion on the need to contain the oil spillage in coastal communities in Bayelsa State.
The spill has affected economic trees, water resources, aquatic lives, and disrupted the social and economic activities of a community that has been very peaceful over the time. The failure to urgently address this very serious situation could lead to unrest in an area already bedeviled by poverty and lack that rely heavily on farming and fishing. The volume of the damage recorded since April 2024 till date, if not quickly arrested, could cause further damage to the waters and their contents, leading to a near annihilation of aquatic lives, which is the only source of livelihood of most southern Niger coastal communities.
Representative Ebikebina called on the House Committees on Environment and Petroleum Resources upstream to investigate the issue. He further called on the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to provide aid to the affected communities. Still on prayers for the motion, Honorable Rodney further called on the Nigeria Ajib Company to clean up the spillage caused by its activities. The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committee on Environment, Petroleum Resources upstream, as well as that on NEMA.
That is a bit.
Meanwhile, the House has adjourned plenary proceedings till 17 September 2024. Deputy Speaker Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie Kalu made the announcement at the end of plenary on Tuesday, 23 July 2024.
Many thanks for still being there. If you just joined us on the program, it's House Cttee, a weekly program that keeps you posted about the happenings of the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. The House Joint Committee on Commerce, Maritime Safety, Education and Administration, and Legislative Compliance held a one-day investigative hearing on the need to recover decades of unpaid 10% freight levies due to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, from the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. This was on Monday, 22nd July 2024. In his welcome address, Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, who was represented by the majority leader, Professor Julius Ihovere, called on the stakeholders to cooperate with the committee to enable it meet its objective on the subject matter.
Your presence at today's gathering is indicative of your commitment to the peaceful resolution of this issue involving our two critical agencies, Nigerian Export Promotion Council and Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. For us to achieve this, I implore you to genuinely provide us with fact-based data and desirable information that will strengthen us to carry out this legislative duty efficiently.
Speaker Abbas then called for synergy amongst government agencies to enable government meet its promise of economic prosperity to the Nigerian people. Speaking earlier, Chairman of the committee, Representative Ahmed Munir, pleaded for understanding between the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency and the Nigerian Export Promotion Council over the unpaid 10% freight levies due to NEPC since 1979. Representative Munir made the plea after both parties failed to agree on the agreed percentage.
A few days ago, the committee had a public hearing where some bills were looked into by Nigerians to either strengthen the existing laws or enact a new one. We would like you also, in the course of this, to lay bare what the challenges are so that the gray areas can be strengthened. I urge you all to feel free to make your contributions. Please be civil and keep to time in our presentations. Our purpose here is to find a lasting solution to this NIMASA and NEPC issue for the good of all involved.
Representative James Burka, who moved the motion that led to the investigation, also spoke on what informed the motion.
All attempts to recover from NIMASA the colossal amount due to NEPC, an agency under the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, have proved abortive, as numerous documented communications from the presidency. I want you to note this. Instructing NIMASA to pay up, ignored.
In her presentation, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Nigeria Export Promotion Council, NEPC, Noye Ayeni, stated that NEPC is relying on the act passed by the National Assembly that compels NIMASA to fund the council. She argued that the refusal of NIMASA to remit the 10% levy has greatly hindered the operations of the NEPC.
Over these years, my predecessors have made several efforts, written to Ministry of Finance, written to everyone that cares to hear, so that we'll get these funds, but nothing still happened. Mr. Chairman, as Nigerian Airports, based on the limited funds that we have done a lot, but it is quite small compared to what we can do as a nation.
On his part, the Executive Director, Finance and Administration, Chude Ofodili, who represented the Director General NIMASA, stated that the agency is hanging on the lacuna on the act that it set up, which clearly did not expressly state that it should remit such fund to NEPC.
The NIMASA Act is clear, Mr. Chairman, on the agencies and the finances and funding requirements of the agency. Who gets what? Nowhere in the NIMASA Act of 2007 was any mention made of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. How then would anyone expect NIMASA to make payments to an agency not authorized by you to make payment to the particular agency?
After NMA transformed into NIMASA, are there or were there any ongoing contracts that NMA had with contractors that they have appointed to do whatever job that NIMASA inherited and continued paying them?
We did not inherit any liability. That's why I'm reading the transitional provisions to you. And NIMASA was created with a different set of objectives altogether, with clear provisions on how and where to apply its revenue. The officials of NIMASA today were not the officials of NMA, were not the officials of NIMASA yesterday, and will not be the officials of NIMASA tomorrow. So what is consistent? The consistent thread that binds everybody, including members of the National Assembly, is the full application of the law. And suggesting that we engage NEPC on what or how much to pay to NEPC suggests that NIMASA is in possession of surplus funds. It doesn't exist, Mr. Chairman.
If we have an act that have requested for NIMASA to pay the NEPC 10%, and NIMASA is saying that it's not captured in their act. I want to understand that all of us are standing for the development of Nigeria. However, we have to find a ground or common ground that will be able to forge ahead. Just as suggested by others, maybe we'll have another enlarged forum that we'll talk better and see how we can resolve this issue.
We're going to work with the facts that are presented to us. There's still some more reaching out that we are going to do, especially with the agencies and heads that are not here, especially the Attorney General of the Federation, the Ministry of Justice. So I want you to be rest assured that whatever we come out with is what we feel is the best for the nation. Where amendment needs to be done, they will be done. But where the laws are already there, then they must be applied.
Away from the committee room, Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024, signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Office of the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, Nigeria member, on legislative interventions on issues affecting women. In his address, Speaker Abbas restated the commitment of the 10th House under his leadership to empower women and ensure gender equality in politics, governance, and other areas of life.
Today, we formalize another significant partnership with the United Nations to eliminate discrimination against women, aligning with our legislative agenda on inclusion and affirmative action for good governance. This partnership attains to a recognition of the need to marshal out diverse resources to achieve our 2024 International Women Development Theme, Inspired Inclusion.
Speaker Abbas added that, given the huge gender gaps in many sectors, there was the need for proactive measures to consolidate the 10th House Legislative Agenda's vision of promoting inclusion and affirmative action for good governance and promoting innovative and technology-based approaches to stimulate economic growth and citizens' participation. Speaking earlier, the Vice Chairperson, United Nations CEDAW, Madam Esther Egobamien Michelia, who led the CEDAW and with whom the Speaker signed the MOU, commended Speaker Abbas and members of the House for their efforts towards gender equality and women empowerment so far, while urging them to implement the agreement towards achieving more results.
We promise to commence work right after this event and look forward to your support in activating flagship inclusive projects in at least 100 constituencies, economic empowerment schemes, professional development and capacity strengthening to boost accountability of national and state assemblies, as well as some market access schemes within the next 1 year. We hope that under your distinguished leadership, we will witness the enactment of a Nigeria Women's Charter that is similar to that of Singapore, because that is one of the goals of this partnership. The government of Singapore stands ready to work with us and their parliament to achieve this feat.
Present at the event was the Chairman House Committee on Women Affairs, Representative Kafilat Ogbara, Chairman Committee on Women in Parliament, Representative Fatima Talba, as well as some members of the 10th House, amongst many others. High point of the event was the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between both parties. This is hoping we have educated you on what our representatives in the 10th House are up to in ensuring Nigerians get the right set of laws to foster sectoral reforms towards development. Thanks for sharing your time with us on the program. You can watch House Ticket on our YouTube channel, New Age TV Network. Let's meet again next time. Bye-bye.